Welcome back to Whispered Dark Diaries Tales. Tonight's story is one that still makes people uncomfortable to talk about. Not because it's impossible, but because it's believable. Because it didn't happen somewhere remote or abandoned. It happened on a university campus. And it started while I was doing something completely ordinary. I was alone in my university room, lying on my bed, scrolling through YouTube on my phone, when my door handle moved. Not violently, not suddenly, just a slow, careful turn, like whoever was outside already knew the door was locked and was checking whether I was awake. It was exam week. Most students had gone home. The hostel felt hollow, stripped of its usual noise. My roommate left that afternoon with a small suitcase and a casual hug, telling me not to stay up too late. I locked the door behind her and went back to my phone without thinking about it again. By nightfall, the building felt wrong, not quiet, vacant, the kind of silence that makes every small sound feel deliberate. I was half watching a video, half scrolling through recommendations, when I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow, heavy, unhurried, they stopped directly outside my door. I lowered my phone and stared at the handle, waiting for it to move. It didn't. After a few seconds, the footsteps continued down the hall. I told myself it was security, or another student heading to the bathroom, or anyone except what my body was already preparing for. Then the footsteps came back. Same pace, same weight. They stopped again. The handle moved, just a little, like someone testing a theory. My heart started pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. The handle stopped, then turned again, firmer this time, like whoever was outside had decided something. My phone buzzed on the desk. A campus alert lit up the screen. Unauthorized access reported. Block C. My block, my floor. I stood up quietly and switched off my light. The glow from my phone was the only thing left in the room. The hallway light outside flickered once, then steadied. That's when I heard metal scrape gently against my lock. Not rushed, not sloppy. Slow, patient, controlled. Someone who had done this before. There was a soft click. My door opened, just enough for someone to step inside. I backed away and crouched behind my bed, pressing myself against the wall. Heavy shoes entered the room. Not student shoes, work shoes. The door closed, the lock turned. From the inside, the person moved around my room calmly, like they weren't worried about being interrupted. I could hear them open my wardrobe, touch my desk, pick things up, and put them back exactly where they were. They weren't stealing, they were learning. They stopped beside my bed. "I know you're still here," a man's voice said quietly. Not threatening, not angry, certain. I covered my mouth and called campus security, barely whispering my room number. The operator whispered back, telling me to stay where I was. Officers were on the way. The man laughed softly. "You always call," he said. The mattress dipped as he sat down. His hand brushed my ankle, slow, deliberate, like he was confirming something. Then his fingers tightened. I screamed. Lights snapped on in the hallway. Doors opened. People shouted. Footsteps rushed toward my room. The hand released me instantly. The weight lifted from the bed. The door opened. Security rushed in. They searched the room, the bathroom, the hallway. No one else was there. They told me I was lucky. But one of the guards kept staring at the ceiling. He asked me quietly if I'd heard anyone running. I hadn't. That's when they checked the maintenance hatch above the corridor bathroom, something most students didn't even know existed. The panel was loose. Inside was a narrow service crawl space that ran the length of the floor, connecting rooms, storage areas, and the staff stairwell at the far end of the building. No cameras, no student access, only staff keys. They followed the crawl space to the stairwell door. It was unlocked. The exit camera showed a man walking out calmly. Less than a minute before security reached my room. Not running, not hiding his face, wearing a staff jacket, carrying a master key ring. Security said they couldn't identify him. The footage was too unclear. The next morning, maintenance inspected my lock. One of them stared at it longer than necessary before admitting the truth. It hadn't been forced. It hadn't been picked. It had been unlocked. With a master key, only staff had access to those. Security said they would investigate. They never followed up. 2 weeks later, I moved out. While packing, my roommate came to help. She froze when she looked under my bed. I asked her what was wrong. She pointed. A small piece of black tape was stuck to the frame. Written on it in pen were the words, "Room 314, alone on Tuesdays." That wasn't the night of the break-in. That was every Tuesday for 3 months. Campus said there were no records of repeated incidents. Security said no staff member was missing a master key. They told me to move on. But sometimes, when I'm lying in bed scrolling through my phone late at night, I think about how calmly he walked out, how close he was to being caught, and how many other rooms are connected by that same crawl space. Because he didn't escape by running. He escaped because the building already belonged to him. That's all for tonight. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next whisper waiting in the dark. And remember, the most dangerous person in the room isn't always the one trying to get in. Sometimes it's the one who already knows every way out. Sleep well if you can.